Okay, this is the case for prices to go much higher in 2025. If you've been paying attention, I've been sharing some bearish fundamentals, but I always like to argue the other side. So let's do that. Now, the first thing is, we are in the late stage of the US dollar, or at least like later stages in terms of monetary expansion. It's at a point where the US dollar, just the interest payments they're monetizing now. What is the interest payment? It's like 34 trillion US debt. The interest payments like a couple trillion a year. So what happens in the late stage inflation is asset prices hyperinflate. So that seems like an inevitability to me, and I think most of us can agree on that. However, there's likely to be booms and busts along the way, volatility, right? Also, it's like a train wreck in slow motion. It's going to take years. Next year it's going to be worse, and then the next year it's going to be worse. So it's not necessarily, that's a long-term argument. But what about the immediate future? Okay, so one of them is, I think one of the reasons the market reacted so much to Trump's presidential win and has been insane rallies is because the market remembers in 2020 when COVID hit and Trump administration was in office, the amount of stimulus they printed was insane. Cutting the FOMC cut rates to zero, but the Trump administration, literally, everybody got a check with Trump's name on it. And the inflation that happened in the Biden administration, it's kind of silly that they try to blame it on Biden. It clearly came from the money printing in 2020. That said, it could have been anyone in office. They probably would have done the same thing. But now that Trump, they expect, so one case for the money, for assets to moon is Trump passing stimulus. There's not really a call for it though, but it's possible. I listened to Powell's speech at the last FOMC, and they were saying Trump's demanding interest rates come down. Not that Trump, in theory, has any power over that or control over power of the FOMC, but you never know what goes on behind the scenes. So they could cut rates. They could say, the hell with inflation, we want to stimulate the economy. Trump seems to like that, and the market thinks it'll happen. So that's one possibility. Another possibility is Trump. Okay, no, enough of Trump. Another possibility is, so I always have the question, where's the money going to come from for this next rally? Where would the money come from? What demographic? What capital? And when I look at the U.S. stock market and we see, okay, it's at a record valuation in terms of Warren Buffett valuation. It's at, stock market capitalization is at over 200% of GDP. Could just keep going higher. I mean, what are records meant to be broken? Although typically these high valuations lead to a crash, but bubbles could go for years and even decades sometimes. I know people are saying, okay, this time's different. There's not going to be major dips anymore because they're always going to bail out the market. And that might be true also. So any kind of downside's limited. There's also, where's the money coming from? One is the IRA accounts of corporations just steady buying every week, every month, every paycheck. And they don't just buy stocks, they're also buying the Bitcoin ETF now. So there's this passive buy pressure on the market that tends to just push it up over time. And that can continue in 2025. So that's one answer of where the money comes from, is new money's made, or at least money's paid out. It just slowly pools in the market. Another is, I guess, despite also there's record margin debt right now, but that margin debt's like around $1 trillion. What is margin debt? It's retail stock leverage. So $1 trillion's a lot. However, there's also record, I think, $7 trillion in money market funds. Money market funds are almost just cash. It's like a savings, basically, interest savings. How is there record everything? Well, there's record money supply now, actually, or it's close to. But there's always record money supply, so every record's getting broken. So that's where the money could come from. There's $7 trillion in money market funds that could enter the stock market, potentially. People could say, you know what, I want to buy stocks. What is that demographic? That demographic is maybe people who have gotten wrecked in bear markets, or people who are afraid and they get FOMO and come in. It's possible. I suspect a lot of the money market funds are boomers who aren't trying to make money. They're just trying to save until they can, for the rest of their lives, basically. So, I mean, it may take that money getting passed down for the risk to increase. Don't know, don't have the answer, but that's how. There is ample money on the sidelines, and there's passive flow coming in. Another possibility is we see euphoria in Bitcoin, but we haven't really seen euphoria in the altcoin space. Yeah, XRP, there's a couple that went crazy, but we see a lot of possible signs of market tops, but things could get more extreme. When I think of the 2021 top, was insanity, right? The amount of money people had made or thought they had made. Everyone's talking about NFTs, crypto, and the euphoria, insane valuations on metaverse projects and random crypto coins that don't mean anything. And technically we have gotten back to those valuations roughly, but it doesn't feel like insane euphoria. There was in December. But, so, there's an argument for price to go higher and much higher in 2025. Saying it out loud, I don't know I believe it as much as the counter case. Or at least I believe it can, but I also believe, well, I don't know that I have strong conviction. I know it can go the other way. This time is not different. Bubbles burst. This bubble's gonna burst too. The bubble is concentrated in AI, 7 stocks, but it's kind of in everything too. But I'm not expecting like a major bear market necessarily, just like deleveraging. Another argument is just cycles. When we had the COVID crash was in 2020. We had a bear market in 2022. Yeah, I mean 2025 feels kind of due for a correction or a regime change. I don't know. What's your fundamental for prices going much higher in 2025? Again, I think we can all agree that assets are going to hyperinflate against the dollar, or continue to over the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. So for some of you guys, the next year doesn't matter. I care though. I'm going a month at a time, a year at a time. So yeah, but let me know. Let me know what you think. Comment down below. What's the case for prices to go much higher? I'm gonna turn back. Go home and get the dog. All right, appreciate y'all, and look forward to reading the comments. Peace.